Liss, and the name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me each week as we explore places to go and things to do. I'm afraid that I have to warn you to put on your raincoats and get your umbrellas out, because this week we're talking about Singin' in the Rain, a wonderful, spectacular show now at the Westchester Broadway Theater through June. And we really have two terrific guests who are perfect for this show today, because what we're talking about is the man who's playing the lead and the technical director, and this is really a technical show. So my guests today are Yvon, who plays the lead, who does Singin' in the Rain and everything else that's wonderful, and Peter Barbieri Jr., who is the technical director. This is a show that has a lot of demands and a lot of interest, and so the question really is, everybody knows the wonderful Singin' in the Rain dance scene that Gene Kelly did. Is it a challenge? Is it more of a challenge because that image of Gene Kelly is there at all times, Bernie?
Well, yeah, it is a challenge, and it's something I'm always aware of when I do it, because the show began as a movie, and that's what everyone has in their mind. And he was so brilliant that in some ways I want to try to emulate his performance. And people come to expect certain things out of the performance. I think they remember him on the lamppost, they remember him doing certain things, and I want to make sure those are in there. But after a certain point, I can't be him, and I never will be, so I have to make it my own.
Yeah, that's interesting that most times an actor will want to make a role his own.
Right.
Because even though it may be a classic, you want to make it your own. In this case, you want to make it your own, but at the same time, you always got Gene Kelly up there looking down and watching you.
Exactly. Yeah. He was such an incredible performer, and in this movie, he was 40 years old. So he had a nice combination of maturity as well as still being really incredibly physical and a great dancer still. So that combination is hard to achieve, too, I think.
In most roles, there are people who are singers, and there are people who are dancers, and there are people who singers who dance, and dancers who sing. This show has so much singing and so much dancing in it that you really got to be a singer-dancer in the purest.
Yeah, it's a challenge. And I always consider myself an actor first, actually. And then the singing came next. The dancing came quite a bit later, actually, for me, when I was college age. And in this, we have to do a little sword fighting as well, and a little bit of fiddling, and it's just one thing after another.
I noticed there's so many technical people, and technical, of course, is Peter, what you can talk about the most. But I noticed in the credits that there's a fight director.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
I think of you, Peter, as in this particular case, as a quadruple threat man. Now, I know you've been associated with the Westchester Broadway Theater for a long time as technical director, and maybe we'll get in a little bit to what a technical director does and how important it is in a show of this spectacular nature. But I also know that there is a film portion. There are films that are shown. We'll get into that in a minute. That you're an actor in that. You also directed it. And then while I was surfing on the World Wide Web, I came up with the Westchester Broadway Theater's homepage, website, and lo and behold, the webmaster is Peter Barbieri Jr. So you really are a quadruple threat man, usually behind the scenes making magic with all sorts of technical things. Is this a technically difficult show to do, more difficult than others?
Well, it's problematic. I mean, you talked about Gene Kelly, and you talked about that famous scene, and everybody wants that scene to look exactly the way it does in the movie. You know, they want the rain to be the rain, or to be real rain, and the lamppost to be the real lamppost, and, you know, that kind of thing. We have a wonderful set designer, Gregory Hill, who's come up with a great concept for the show of it all coming out of the movie theater, or out of the movie studio, excuse me. So we have, you know, it's a very movie-oriented set, and technically it's it's on a par with with the spectacles that we usually try to present.
The theater put in a lot of hydraulics and a lot of ways to do things in its new theater setup, not new anymore, when Phantom opened, which is coming back, by the way,
Yes,
I see later this year, for Phantom. And I notice it's not overused, but in this show there's a lot of turntables and things that rise out of nowhere and surprise people and do things. What does a technical director do? I often hear the term, we're having a tech rehearsal. What does that mean?
Well, a tech rehearsal is after the actors have worked, and they have a very, very brutal schedule that they work on to learn the dances and the songs and things like that. But they deal with rehearsal props and rehearsal pieces of scenery, but the technical rehearsal is when we all come together with the actual set, the actual scenery, and the orchestra. We add, the microphones and the sound and the lights and all those aspects that they've sort of never imagined.
So what does a technical director do?
My job primarily is in the planning stages. Well, it's twofold. First of all, is in the planning stages. I meet with the director of the show and the designer of the show, the set designer, and they work out between the two of them a concept of what the show is going to look like, and then I have to turn that into wood and steel and hydraulics and whatever we need to do, pyro or whatever we're doing at the moment.
Is anything impossible?
I don't think so. We haven't come across that.
We're going to come to some specifics about this. You talked about the microphones and so on. There's a very interesting point. I know that in theater today, everybody wears body mics. Now, you're a singer and a dancer. How do we hear the sound of your singing and your dancing?
Well, I'm wearing two mics in this show. One right here. It's black, so it kind of is hidden by my hair. I wear it around my ear. Wire goes down my back, and I wear the mic pack in the small of my back. I have another one on my foot for the tap sounds, for tap mics. That's not very common. It depends on the surface, depends on the theater, whether they feel like they really want to hear the taps. But since there's so much dancing in this, I think they decided to do it that way. Women sometimes wear them in their wigs. They even wear the mic packs in their wigs now, so you don't see the wires down their back.
It's an art.
Oh, yeah.
In Dreamgirls, I understand that when the microphones rose up from the stage, they were really dummies because they were symbolic of the time, but they were unnecessary, really, because everybody was wearing a body mic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Things ain't what they always seem to be.
Very
well, we do fool you in a way. We have we have some period microphones in Singing in the Rain because it takes place in the 20s, and we have some big old-fashioned microphones, and one of them is actually real. And in case when somebody's mic goes out during that opening scene, one of the period microphones actually has an electronic microphone inside of it, a wireless mic.
Now, do you use it, or it's just?
We do use it.
Oh,
we use it. We use it in Bernie's when Bernie talks into it in the beginning because he's wearing a hat, and sometimes that shades his microphone.
Right.
So when he talks into the microphone in the opening of the show, it's actually a real microphone, but it looks like a period. Period.
Now we've got some scenes that we can show, and we have one here particular. What does this scene show?
This one is called Broadway Melody. It's in Act 2. It's the major number in Act 2, and in the movie it was 12, 13-minute long extravaganza. They really used it as filler. They needed to make the movie longer, and they worked out this incredible dream sequence. And obviously, we had to pare it down a little bit, but it's basically a story of a young guy who comes to New York, and he's all excited to dance and to impress people, and the city beats him down. A series of experiences he has, and then it's just a great, flashy number with a great chorus of people tapping.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the music is that it's so familiar, and it's so familiar not for the usual reason. It's familiar because the film, which preceded the original Broadway show, which was in the 80s, but the film was built around popular songs, and not songs that were written and then used.
Right.
So there are songs in there, of course, Singing in the Rain, which we'll get to in great detail in a few minutes. What are some of the other numbers that?
Well, the most popular ones, perhaps You Were Meant for Me, You Are My Lucky Star.
Fit as a Fiddle.
Fit as a Fiddle, Moses Supposes. It's just a great list of really fun songs, especially the senior citizens just sing right along with us as we're doing it.
Yeah, you mentioned this is a great nostalgia show, and I was told that most of the matinees are sold out already.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So if people want tickets, they should give us a call.
As the word of mouth travels, I assume that this is going to be a show that's going to be a hot ticket to get if people.
We're hoping, and it runs through June 15th.
You're not superstitious,
so,
though.
No.
So there are main characters and then quite a great chorus, right? So there's you who played the lead.
Yeah, there was the Gene Kelly role. Donald O'Connor was the sidekick.
Right.
Michael Osteen plays him.
Yeah, and he's done several shows.
He's a familiar face out there. Anne Marie Rogers plays Kathy Selden, the young chorus girl who ends up dubbing for the star's
Debbie
voice,
Reynolds,
and that was the Debbie Reynolds role.
Right.
And then there's the comic female, Lena Lamont, who has a difficulty making the transition from the silent films to the talkies, and that's
an interesting role because it's probably the villain of the piece, and yet not unsympathetic.
Right. Well, she gets great lines, and she's very funny, and yet, she does kind of control what's going on with the plot. Really, she's the wrench in there.
I think Gene Hagen did it in the movie.
Yes, and she was brilliant, and it's hard to duplicate. But Riette Burdick is in ours, and she's terrific. It's interesting because most actresses that play Lena have wonderful voices, and they have to work really hard to not to not speak well and sing well.
I thought about that as I watched. I also noticed in the credits that she's done Adelaide and Guys and Dolls. So she's really got that voice.
She's having a good year.
And then, of course, some of the secondary principals are also very effective and have worked at the theater before.
And the ensemble is playing all kinds of roles. They're very busy. It's a fairly small cast for this size of a show.
Doesn't look
so they're all over the place. Lots of costume changes and really quick.
There's one number that you and Michael Osteen do with the voice teacher.
Moses Supposes.
And in that particular, this very staid teacher suddenly turns out to be an incredible dancer.
Right. That was something our choreographer came up with. In the movie, he didn't dance, obviously, but they threw that in, and it's a catchy little twist.
And he's a member of the chorus who does several other roles and is in there at all. It's great. I just want to remind our audience that we're talking about Singin' in the Rain, which is at the Westchester Broadway Theater, and my guests today are Bernie Yvon, who plays the lead, the Gene Kelly role, and Peter Barbieri Jr., who is the technical director. Let's go on and talk about some of the other numbers in this. What do you think about it? You say you're an actor, basically, right? Is there a greater stress on the role? I mean, there is a story, but the story isn't unimportant. There's a story about it's the transition between silent films and movies. Why don't you talk a little bit about what the story is?
Yeah, well, that's basically it in the 20s, and this studio, this fictitious studio, decides that they'd better do a talking picture too to keep up with the times, and one of the stars is able to do that quite easily, and one is not. So that's the problem. The story is fairly secondary just because the numbers are so famous and so incredible that, the singing and the dancing is more of a workout for me in this show.
That feeling of the film is always there. There's the famous scene with the couch, for example, which the three of you do.
Right.
Now, set that a little bit.
That's called Good Mornin', and that's a picture of it right there. They are just three friends who are Don Lockwood and Kathy have fallen in love. They're happy because they've worked out what they're going to do with Lena. They're going to have Kathy dub Lena's voice, so they're pretty happy about the way things have turned out. It's late at night, so they said, no, it's actually morning, and what a great morning it is, and they go into this good morning song. And one of the parts in the movie that people remember is the three of them tipping over a couch, so they had to come up with a couch that is safe for us to sit on and easy to tip over, but doesn't tip over too easily, and that was one of Peter's challenges, I think, to find something that works.
Challenges, is that what it's all about?
I guess it's all about challenges. It's as you said, you asked me if there was anything as impossible, and there really isn't, because live theater is so wonderful, and it is very challenging. And to bring the stuff to you live that you see in the movies, especially in this show in particular, has been a lot of fun. And we also bring you movies as well.
Right.
We bring you movies and live
now
theater.
I mentioned earlier that you act in the movie. You play one of the little cameo, and you all directed that film. That film was made on a movie set?
It was made in a studio in Peekskill, New York.
They do films there?
They do. Actually, they're filming a children's series for Fox there right now. What we did was the set designer asked if we could use the same pieces of scenery that we use on stage in the movie, as opposed to shooting it on location somewhere. And we thought that was a great idea. It posed a number of challenges, but it was a great idea. And so the pieces of scenery that you see in the movie set on the stage when they're filming, pretending to film the movie on stage during Singing in the Rain at the Westchester Broadway Theater, is the same pieces of scenery you see in the movie. And you see us climbing around on and sword fighting.
Was that difficult to do, because you have this whole thing with the dubbing? I thought was very interesting. Films, of course, we know are reshot and reshot and reshot. Did this require similar to what's done, or did you do them in one take? I know I've watched commercials being made, and they can shoot 50, 60 times.
Some long days.
Yeah, it was. We shot the whole thing in one day. All the pieces of film that you see were shot in one day, and it was nonstop. And we just worked on and pressed on. I had Ted Hewlett helping me out, who was the fight choreographer, as you said, and he did a wonderful job staging the fights, which is the basic part of the silent movie, is a big sword fight.
Yes.
And we had some wonderful times doing that. And then the dubbing we actually did on site. Riette actually mouthed the words, and Kathy was off camera singing along, very much like she does on stage. And it worked.
It combines so many things. The film, the choreography is so precise. I noted that every movement, every hand movement was right on. I mean, that must take a lot of work, so that you really see that as an ensemble piece.
Yeah, the choreography is done by Jim Corti, who has done the show several times before, and he took it right from the movie. He had to sit there with his VCR remote and memorize the choreography, and it's executed very well. It's also difficult for this show to duplicate the movie, because they had the luxury of doing several takes and several cuts.
That's right.
And to sustain these numbers live is really exhausting.
One number that really impressed me, and I have to admit, when I saw this number, I don't know why, because I didn't know who was in it. I thought Sid Charisse, and sure enough, that's Sid Charisse played this role.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what this is. Part of
Broadway Melody. We didn't get Sid Charisse, but I don't think she'd want to do it at this point.
Well, maybe it was the leg that impressed me.
Yeah, this is a wonderful dancer in the show, and she plays several different roles throughout the show, but they choreographed her exactly the way Sid Charisse did the part in the movie. She's costumed the same, wigged the same, and she really comes across quite
Very
stunning.
Exotic, stunning.
Yeah. And I just have to stand there and watch her, and she dances around me, and I lift her a few times, and it's kind of fun for me too.
Of course, maybe I've saved the best for last, but Singing in the Rain, everybody knows, and everybody has seen over and over and over again, the great scene with Gene Kelly dancing in the rain. And when I heard that this show was going to be done, the first question that I asked was, is it really going to rain?
How do they do that?
And I never got a straight answer, although I had a feeling that it was going to rain. And I can vouch, and I'm sure you two can vouch for the fact that it really rains on the stage.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
That must have been technically a great challenge, and to dance. And I kept seeing Gene Kelly when you were doing that.
Yeah.
And I suppose that was something that you worked out specifically.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a little of his spirit in me.
Even the look and the body language.
Yeah,
there was so
good,
much of it.
good. If people come away thinking that, I'm honored if they think that. It is a challenge. They have to pull out a tarp to cover the stage, first of all, so it won't be as slippery and it won't ruin the hydraulics underneath. We have to test all kinds of different shoes to see which ones won't slip. The choreography has to fit within the confines of the rain. I have to find an umbrella that works. That just the umbrella alone is a nightmare. Just dealing with it. It's always going inside out, and the handle breaks, and it's one thing after another.
This is at the end of Act 1,
Yes.
and I guess everybody knows it's coming. And the night that I saw it, when the lamppost rises up, everybody applauded.
I think that's a symbol. I think that's very much the same way that famous pose that Bernie does at the end when he's, hanging off the lamppost. I mean, it's a symbol, and people see that and they know it's coming.
So that's real rain, and I understand that the water is heated.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Actually, I don't mind taking a shower at the end of the act because I'm sweating so much. I'm so exhausted. It's kind of nice to cool off a little bit. No, they worked the temperature out just right and worked out the water level. At first, there weren't enough puddles, and then we adjusted it, and there were too many puddles, and we got it
really
just right now.
slosh and stamp, and
Oh yeah, I'm soaked.
and is it fair to say that we should warn the people that if you were sitting in the first row,
Maybe if
you
you're
may
in the
get a
front
little
row,
damp?
on the sides especially. I try not to do that too much, but anything can happen. Gene Kelly didn't have a row of people around him when he did the movie, so he didn't have to worry about that. But I think that's part of the fun.
You do kind of splash some water up in the direct. Is it very difficult to dance in that?
It is difficult just because there are so many elements. It's not just a dance number. It's the rain, it's the umbrella, it's the tarp, it's staying true to the memory of that whole scene. So yeah, it's a challenge. But hey,
It's so exciting.
When it's over and they're applauding, that it's worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
And in the end, of course, the policeman comes out and you throw some water at him.
He gets his too.
And you throw some water on him and also on the people who may be sitting behind him, right?
We don't want to scare them off, but
So, that doesn't bother you, Peter. I know you walk around between acts and see.
I talk to the people. I try to see what they're thinking. I like to look at the people that get splashed, and I go down to them and just see what they're like. I watch them during the number because I watch Bernie very closely just for safety and just to see what he's doing out there and how much water we use. And we started out, of course, we were tentative about the water. And
Where does it go?
That's a good question. One of the many mysteries. Originally on Broadway, it was recycled because the show was done during a drought. Fortunately, we've had a lot of snow this year, so we don't have to recycle the water. So it goes into the basement, and
Is there a drain?
there are troughs on both sides of the stage, and the water goes off into the troughs and into two barrels in the basement. And we've actually figured out. At first, we were using very little water, but Bernie kept telling us to turn it up. He wanted more puddles, so now we're using about 85 gallons of water during that number.
And there's a show that goes on in between acts, as far as I'm concerned, where this whole crew comes out there with squeegees.
Squeegeeing out the water.
Sure, they have to have it right before intermission so you can go on with the show, obviously. When I did it before, people every now and then would get angry, and it was also at a dinner theater, and they would take their water glasses and throw water back at me. And I'm thinking, ooh, a little water, that's really going to bother me that I'm soaking wet, At least it wasn't wine.
I understand that they talk about it technical aspect. There was a problem of how do you light it.
It's one of the hardest things because rain or snow on the stage and fog are the three hardest things to light because they exist. And in light like this, it would be really easy to see. But when you're trying to do night, it's a night scene. There's a lamppost, and you want it to be moody, and it's very hard to light it. Andrew Moser is our lighting designer. He did a wonderful job, but it took a while to just get the
I noticed incidentally that Andy Moser is also doing Closer Than Ever at the Fleetwood stage. It's opening pretty soon, and it's going to be running for a while. They do a wonderful job at Closer Than Ever. So I guess you people work between different shows. I've seen your credit in other shows in New York as well. Yeah. Your heart and your longevity, of course, is with the Westchester Broadway
It
Theater.
Certainly is.
But you of course do other things. It's an art, I think, knowing the technical things that can be done, and it must be a great sense of accomplishment when it works.
It is, and all the hard work and all the frustration and things that you go through during the tech week of a show when you're trying to get it open and you're pressed for time, and people are going to see this in a day or so, And then Bernie gets up on that lamppost at the end of the number, and the audience goes crazy, and you kind of go, okay, that's why we're here.
Talk about the audience going crazy. Let's give them a number to go crazy to. What number should people call? Again, the matinees are mostly sold out, but there are tickets available, and it's got to run through June. So what's the number?
Right,
we're at
914-592-2222. It's easy to remember.
Easy number to remember, and we'll put it up in the closing credits as well. So what happens? I mean, the audience, of course, is very important. The audience reaction is always very, very important. That feeling of recognition that comes out there, and then of appreciation that you've done that.
Yeah, it's nice to do it live if it's a responsive audience. Sometimes it can be frustrating if we feel they're not with us, but it's always different. Every night is different. That's what's so nice about doing it live.
You don't know where the raindrops are going to fall.
Yeah, sometimes they fall right on my microphone.
How do you protect it?
They put a little bit of pantyhose type of thing over it.
It's interesting, wearing pantyhose on your ear.
Sure, why not? Why not?
The whole cast seems to work very well together.
Yeah, it's a great group of people. Everybody gets along really well, and we don't stop during the show. You run off stage, you change your clothes, and you come right back on. There's so many costume changes. It's a show in itself behind the stage. If you could come back there someday, it would be just as entertaining, I think. But yeah, it's a really nice group of people, and we become family. You spend so much time together, and that becomes your second family.
Now, you say you took up dancing later, but you do tap, you do ballet, you got to do everything.
Yeah. I started in college. I realized it might behoove me to add that to my repertoire, since knowing how I looked and knowing what my career was going to be, I just thought, well, why not? And it's good exercise too. I love doing it.
And it behooves us to say that we've run out of time, and it's just great talking about Singing in the Rain after having seen it, having seen you in it, and seen the wizardry that you have done in it. And I appreciate the fact that you both came here and talked to us today.
Our pleasure.
The show is Singin' in the Rain. It's at the Westchester Broadway Theater through June 15th. Spectacular show. Go see it. I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. Until next time, enjoy yourself.